gonna do what everybody does in YouTube videos that I hate. Hey guys, listen, I don't do YouTube for any other reason than just purely for fun. There's a CTSV, not my deal, but it's a nice car. A lot of guys do YouTube, and I think a lot of that is they're trying to make their way, an alternative way to make money, and that's cool. I'm not smart enough for that. I don't want to play the game with YouTube either of subscribers and likes and content and yada yada yada. So I'm just gonna do stuff that I would watch, I guess, as a way to say it. I don't know. Some big speed bumps. Getting a little Papa Murphy's here. Thai chicken from Papa Murphy's, dude. You can't get it on DoorDash, but I mean, you could leave your house. I'm trying something new. But anyway, it's a good Thai chicken pizza at Papa Murphy's if you got one. My brother-in-law owns a Papa Murphy's. I don't get anything from Papa Murphy's, but if they wanted to throw me some coin for something, bro, I'd do it. But anyway. So anyway, obviously I've got a Mercedes. I'm sure you've clicked another video on this page and seen a bunch of weird stuff, but I've got this 2006 E55, 119,128 miles. I've had it for 4 years. It'll be 4 years in July of this year. It's been a fantastic car. I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about it. I noticed Rovell, I think, is his screen name, and he does all those videos on his E63. And it kind of inspired me a little bit. That guy's got a lot of fire and passion for his car. And I think that's cool because I feel like car enthusiasts are a dying breed. In the sense that people buy cars, I think, because honestly of what people will think of it, if they're popular. I don't think a lot of people go out and buy something anymore. At least maybe I'm way off here. You guys could correct me on that, but I feel like people are so obsessed with the absolute fugazi of social media that people buy cars and do things to cars that I don't know why they do it. You know what I mean? Like, you buy a car and you dyno it and you spend all this money on stuff so you can post a YouTube video and flex on a forum or on a Facebook group. Like, really, dude? I don't know. I'm nearly 40. That philosophy's foreign to me. I'm of this weird idea that, like, if you own a car, that means that you should have the title, or else you're modifying the bank's collateral, which to me is kind of funny. But anyway, I don't even know what this is called, a vlog or something, but I just wanted to talk about E55s in general. I think a lot of people hear a lot of things, and I kind of want to give you like the honest, from my experience. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I'm going to buy anything, especially a car, because I'm an enthusiast type of guy, I've owned a bunch of different stuff. I would say I'm a Ford guy, but I also grew up in German cars a lot. Actually, all German cars. My dad was a German car guy, and I later got into Fords on my own. Let me hit this on-ramp here real quick. This has a bone stock with a Fabergé 3-inch catback. If that doesn't impress you, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, that's a 14-year-old car hustling to 100. Granted, it's where I live in the Pacific Northwest. It's clear, dry, and 47. So this thing is absolutely stoked right now to be running. But anyway, if you're looking at an E55 and you've survived through 4 minutes of me babbling about nothing, here's the details, man. What do you want? You know, why are you here, basically? Is it because you've seen one? You've seen some YouTube videos? I would recommend AMG Meister. Richard is an awesome dude. I know him. He lives up north in Canada. I've met him a couple times. He has gorgeous E55s. I would say that between him and Alex at Legit Street Cars would be what I would say the authority on the 211 chassis Mercedes. Alex was a Mercedes-Benz technician, trained by Benz, out of college, so he knows what he's talking about. And Richard is just an incredibly detailed guy, great knowledge base. So if you want to get into some of like the highs, what's and wheres, check those guys out. I'm too old and too lazy anymore. I don't do that stuff. I've turned enough wrenches and broken enough knuckles and cheap Duralast tools in my driveway till 2 in the morning. Those days are gone. I am now the guy I used to make fun of. I'll just pay someone to have to do it. I don't need to prove anything anymore. But if you're one of the guys, and I feel like there's a new section of Mercedes people coming in that are seeing how cheap E55s are, but how quick they are. Schools on, man. I ain't got no schools. You know, and they're like, well, I can get a car that looks basically the same, a little newer, you know, a little bit of money. I think that's honestly why there's an E63, E55 debate, is because you're like, now, you know, think of it, you know, some of us are enthusiasts, right? We obviously know the difference between the two cars solely by the name. But if you're just, you know, you're a new kid, you know, getting into this or whatever, and you see an E55, then you go, well, E63 is probably the same thing, and it's newer, and I can get a newer car for my money, you know what I mean? Because these cars are getting old. This one's an 06, and it's one of the last cars built. This is one of the last 500 built of this car, so that means anything. It does to me. You know, what's that about? And I would say, I'm sure you've Googled. Let's hit a full stop. Dude, this car is bone stock. Stock pulley, stock everything. It has a Fabergé 3-inch, but I don't think that adds, but maybe a few. But this car just... Anyway, brass tacks. And I'm going to be frank here. I don't like the M156. It's a fantastic engine. I would buy a C63 and drive it for like the summer, or like a year, and maybe unload it before it hurt me. But I can't. Every time I talk myself into one of those cars, I come across a guy here locally who bought a 2011 C63. That's supposed to be a fixed M156, right? Updated this, updated that. That thing is an absolute turd. I mean, it's always broken. I don't know if anybody else's E55 does that. Like, once every 4 or 5 months, it does this, like, fart out of the back. Anyway, I'm sorry. I just don't see the reliability there. Now, we're talking about ancient German cars here. So I think we all need to get a little, let's be real here, right? This thing is not I'm a Toyota guy, besides being a Ford guy, besides being a bunch of other guys. But anyway, I've got a 04 4Runner, 180,000 miles. I've got an 05 LS430, 190,000 miles. They will never break. I don't even think about them, honestly. I don't worry about them. Half the time, I forget to do most of the maintenance on them because they just start and run and do things like nothing, bro. They're good. A German car is not going to be like that. And if you're here and you've lasted 8 minutes, probably you understand that. But if you're here, I'm going to be frank with you, man. Like, it's not that these cars break. I'm not going to say that. I wouldn't qualify it as breaking. I'm already home. That was fast. I would say that they require a special amount of maintenance. Meaning that things will break, excuse me, on these cars, break or wear out that you probably wouldn't expect maybe in something else. Let's drive a little bit more. Why not, dude? We got, I mean, the Papa Murphy's pizzas, we got rot yet. They're just more complicated machines. I mean, and you have to accept that. You have to accept the terms and conditions of German car. What, you know, this car had the window sticker. I think it was $97,000. Like, this is an expensive little ride, man. I mean, there's a reason a Corolla runs forever. There's a reason a Corolla runs forever. There's nothing to it. Like, it's a simple machine. This is not a simple machine. But at the same time, you know, if you're a kid and you're working your first job, you can buy one of these, pay for it. Or if you finance it, don't mess with it. Pay it off and then mess with it. It's not a car that's going to kill you. You know what I mean? If you're a budgeted car guy, I have a freer budget now, but for years I was on a shoestring budget. I mean, save up for 6 months for a mod. You know what I mean? Like, I think we've all been there. This car is probably going to be frustrating for you in that budget scenario because you're not going to get to do things to make it quicker because everything, you get used to the speed, right? I mean, relatively you do. But then you start seeing, I can get a set of some Chinese headers. They're going to put 40 at the wheels. I mean, That's incredible. 40 horsepower at the wheels. So you're talking 65 brake horsepower at the motor. I mean, these things are 500 horse stock. All these motors are the same. Yes, the SLs have a bigger throttle body, but they're all the same engines. You know, the supercars are different. But so you're telling me this Joker's gonna have 560 crank horsepower with just headers? I mean, that's CTSV territory. You know what I mean? And these cars, in my opinion, are better built. I am not a General Motors fan for just a lot of different reasons. A lot of it's personal taste. I'm sure you don't care. But I would rather have a 14-year-old Mercedes than a 2012 CTSV, because this car is light years nicer and better built. Like you guys have been in here, besides my vest and this pano sunroof, which creaks all the time. It's like a ship. I don't even hear it anymore. But I mean, come on. The dash don't rattle. I mean, jeez, man. It's a better built car. So anyway, I don't even know what I'm doing here, man. The M156 has issues, and they never got fixed. They are serious. They will hurt you, and those are things you need to consider, dude. Like, if you buy one of these things that's got an M1 156 in it, it's not when, it's not if, it's when. That's the old expression, right? It is going to break, and it is going to be expensive. Now, I purchased this car. I bought it in July of 17. It had 108,000 miles on it. It has been fully serviced. It was owned by a Mercedes technician. Actually, he was at consignment at his place where he worked. He worked at a different shop, and it was there consigning. He was consigning it. And I paid above market. I paid $16,900 for this car because it had every single thing had been done to it. It had all the services done, A through Z with Mercedes. The transmission had been serviced, brand new brakes and rotors. Like, I paid more to get the right car, which is what I think, you know, if someone's on the idea of buying one of these, what you should do is buy the most maintained car you can. Then worry about what color it is. Then, I mean, like, because I'm telling you what, dude, if you want to find what's a super rare color, an alabaster white car, which is what I would die for, right? And if I found one, but it needed $4,000 worth of work, after a while, are you really going to care that much that it's alabaster white? No, you're going to sell it because it's been a piece of crap. And then you're going to go on the internet, and you're going to tell everybody that E55s are junk and Mercedes are junk, and you're going to go back to driving a Mustang. Two-time Mustang owner here, so I can say that freely. But that's what happens, and I feel like that's what happens to a lot of E63 or 156 guys, all those 6.2 cars. But in their case, they might deserve it. You know what I mean? Use the turn lane, dog. Try it out. It's cool. There is just some fantastic... Wow. There's a little old lady sideways in the street. She missed the turn, and now she's just parked sideways. Anyway, that's the God's honest truth. And you know, and if you want, if you M156 guys want to get all bitchy about it or whatever, I'm sorry. It's the truth. You know it's the truth. But you know what? I'm happy you bros. I'm happy you stick up for your car. You know, and I'm happy that those things don't scare you, and I'm happy that you're having good experiences. That's great. I think personally comparing a 211-55 and a 211-63 to each other is a little pointless because the cars are really built so differently. Like, let's just face it, 63 guys, you're not going to want to run into an E55 guy. Like, or faster. And I know you guys can do your headers and all that stuff, but so can I. And on top of that, I've got a 2.1 liter twin screw sitting up there that's on top of all those mods. So they're always going to be faster. That's why you don't see big power 63s, 211 63s. Because it's just, it was a weird spot for Mercedes, right? They put like 212 technology as far as powertrain in a 211 body, I think trying to basically test the market to see if it would fly, and it didn't. People didn't like the 63 when it came out. Like, I'll talk freely. I'm 38 years old. I was a grown adult when these cars were new. I read the Car and Driver and Motor Trend articles before we had, you know, internet articles. I remember reading when in 07, when the 63s came out, I remember people being like, I don't know, the 55 feels faster. But, you know, you guys got the cooler transmission that shifts faster, it's weaker. So I think, honestly, instead of the debate, you know what I mean? Everyone's going to get their punches in. I just took my punches. The 63 guys have had their punches. You know, it reminds me of the rivalry that's in, as there goes an E63. Alabaster white. Nice car. You know, when I had my Fords, it was Coyote Mustang guys versus Terminator Cobra guys. There's always the internal sibling rivalry. You know, if this thing got taken from me, if it got hit or totaled or something, and I couldn't find a replacement E55, I would probably buy a 213 63. I mean, I know that's the new 4-liter motor, but I don't know. Maybe I'll try to find another one of these. But anyway, that's why I would say, dudes, is let's all be honest here. If you're on a budget and you want to go fast, buy an E55. Nobody can argue that. This car is very reliable for a German car. I have not spent a single dime on this car in the time I've owned it outside of modifications. I've had a bulb burnout, dude. Like, this thing is a rock because it's a simple machine. I don't have phasers and I don't have follower issues, and the motor is ancient. Now, if you're a little bit farther along in the game of life, you're in a position similar to me and probably a lot of other Mercedes owners, where we've worked hard and we've made some good decisions. Yeah, dude, grab a 63. Make sure it's sorted. Throw some Eisenman exhaust on it. Throw some headers on it. Get a Race IQ tune. And that thing is going to be a beast. And it's going to be a great car. It's going to sound epic, man. Those engines sound so good. So this Joker leans into it in third gear. If you hear rattling, it's because my Fabergé exhaust needs to be adjusted because, I don't know, I suck at installing it. Get a 63 if you've got a little money, right? I would probably set aside $2,000. I'd probably have $2,000 cash in my dresser drawer for the moment that the 63 kicks you in the butt, you know what I'm trying to say. Or if you have an E55, I think you'd be better living paycheck to paycheck with it. So that's my 2 cents, guys. Like I'm saying, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in. Nobody probably cares. I'll probably edit most of this out because it's very long. And it's just a picture of me. But, yeah, man. I think if you're on a budget, or frankly, if you like to go fast, like I like to go fast. So I just got off the golf course. Shot terrible. If you're a go fast guy, I'm a go fast guy. I like to go fast. I never once considered a 63 because I've always wanted a 55. And I'm not going to pretend like I entertained a 63. I specifically skipped that in my search filters because this car runs bottom 12s bone stock. You can get it in the mid 11s with $2,000 in mods. It's going to run. We'll flip this thing around here. Let's see here. Oh, we can't. Not while it's recording. It's too late. I'll flip the phone over, bro. Look at that. There you go. 119,000 miles. Like you could say, this thing's pretty clean. Needs to be vacuumed, but. So anyway, Mercedes-Benz enthusiasts. Cliff notes. Buy an E55. It's the better car. Everybody knows it. Let's not be sensitive. That doesn't mean that the E63 is a bad car. It just means that as good as the E63 is, the E55 is better than that. And I would say in all phases of the game, right? Handling is probably a push. I have an 06, so I'm a little lucky. I've got the CLS rack in this car, which the 06 has got. So my steering is noticeably sharper than an 05. I've driven a couple 05s. This thing sucks at handling. Like it's like saying that you're, well, I had Reeboks and now I got Adidas. You know what I mean? Like, you still got some Jordans. You know what I'm saying? But we're good. We can run. This car, the 211 chassis, to its credit, was never ever designed to go around corners. That was before we had this obsession with like 4,900-pound cars that ran the ring in 6 minutes. This is good old-fashioned mid-2000s where they were like, you know what? Why don't we just put a blower on this thing? Why don't we stroke it? And why don't we just make it like the second fastest car ever built at the time? And I think that's kind of cool. E55s to me, and like I say, I'm older. I remember when these cars were new. I remember when they hit the streets, and I remember how fast they were. And I remember it had that Terminator Cobra when the GTR came out, when the GT500s came out. It was like, oh, this thing is that quick. That thing's bone stock. Like, I remember the YouTube videos In fact, I've got one saved. It's like this exact car. And I know the guy. Ironically, I know the guy from my Ford years. He had a ported bolt-on Terminator Cobra versus a car like this, which is bone stock with a catback, and they go mirror to mirror. And a ported Cobra's 470 wheel, 475 wheel, and about a 3,800 pound car. So think about that in terms of, in 2006, you're a dude that owns a Cobra. You're out here with 475 wheel horsepower, which, believe me, guys, back in the day, if you had a 400, if you had a 4 in your dyno number, it was like, wow, bro, you're making 400 at the wheels, bro. Now it's like, if you don't make 1,000, don't even show up to, you know, Texas 2K or whatever. But think about that. Like, it's the summer of 2006. You're a bro in a Cobra. You've been just laying the wood on people for years. And here comes this dude in a Mercedes that looks like his grandma's car. And he just says, whoosh, like, it's nuts, man. The 63 doesn't have that. And it never will. And I kind of feel bad for those guys, because by the time the E63 hit in 07, there was the E60 right? There was a 500 horsepower, 5-liter V10. Like, that's the beginning of the craziness, right? And now I don't feel like anybody can make a splash. Like, do you realize how fast, like, the new M5s are? Like, these cars are running mid-10s tune only. Like the 213s, man. It's incredible how fast cars are. So it gets lost. And, I mean, look at this. We've got 1,000 horsepower. I guess the Demon's 800. But does anybody care? It doesn't wow me anymore. I'm so desensitized to it. And I think that's probably what's the thorn inside 63 guys, if they would be honest, is that the car doesn't have any kind of panache around it. And I mean, I guess we're splitting hairs. We're talking about ancient Mercedes right now. And unless you're an enthusiast, like, no one, this car is invisible, bro. I've done stuff in this car as far as speeds that I'm not going to get into, and never had anybody look at me. I had a dark blue Coyote Mustang, and yes, it was loud because it's a Mustang. I had Borla Attack. It was the best sounding car ever built. No discussion at all about that, by the way. It was the greatest sounding car ever. And I would just, like, maybe ride 1 or 2 gears and be like, people would be like staring me down, giving me the bird. This thing, I'll get on an on-ramp like you saw earlier and just fly. Nothing. And that's, you know, just a product of 2021. But for me, I'm old enough, I remember when these cars were something special, and I think that's probably why I would be on the E55 camp of things. But all seriousness, and all joking aside, in all seriousness, the E63 is a good car. It just needs some special care, you know what I mean? It's, you know, the E55 is kind of like the Yard Machines lawnmower. Like, you go into Clendon's, which is a hardware store up here, you buy one. I've never changed the oil, and I've had the thing 4 years. I've never done anything to it. I switch the blade every now and then. It cuts my grass. Beautiful, dude. An E63 is going to be like a Snapper or a Toro, dude. You got to go in there and you got to go to like a lawnmower, dude, and get it tuned up. Like, there's lawnmower shops. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's lawnmower shops that tune up those old mowers because they're tricky. But the reason people keep them is because they mow stuff like golf course, outfield, whatever your favorite sports grass is. Or my Yard Machine will never do that. You know what I mean? But also, it's going to cost you money to own one of those lawnmowers, where it's not going to cost me nothing to own my Yard Machine. I don't know if that's a good analogy. But anyway, this video was boring. It was of my fat ass and 2 headrests. But I don't know. Maybe someone will watch it and we'll have a lively discussion. Hope everybody's doing all right. Hope everybody's hanging in there with this. It's hard. But, yeah, man. Enjoy your 211s. Hopefully this helps somebody. Have a good day, guys.